Hi, and welcome to another episode of Nursing Your Way to Wealth, where a mental health nurse and an accountant talk about wealth creation, personal development, and financial independence in the UK to help you live the life you deserve.
Hi, and welcome back. This episode is going to be based on a paper that I found last week, or the middle of last week. It's by a financial advisor called Ben Felix, and the paper is called Finding and Funding a Good Life. So both Alex and I are going to just talk about some of the pertinent points in that. It's quite a long paper. It's like 30 something pages long. We're probably not going to get through the entirety of it. And Ben is a financial advisor based in Canada. He doesn't know either of us exist or that we're using his material for this episode. So we'll put a link to it down below. But it's just something we both found really interesting, and it made us think about a lot of like money related questions, but they also bridges into like life questions. So we're going to ask each of us some of those questions in between. Ben's also done a really good episode with Damien Talks Money and T. That was, I think, last week or the week before. So if you want either some video or just another opinion from him as well, that's a good place to look. But welcome back, Alex. I'm not sure welcome back. You've not been anywhere, but we're back now for episode 87.
Yeah, hi Alex and hi everyone. Yeah, good to be back and yeah, really interesting paper that Ben's put out. So yeah, keen to have a chat with you about that. And yeah, I think it's as you said, there's quite a lot of content there. It's really quite insightful and thought provoking. I think a lot of it chimes with what we've been talking about, and it's good to get another perspective on the podcast.
Yeah, so I actually printed it at work, and I asked one of my colleagues to print it.
Ah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't have printing privileges at my job because I've not been there long enough. People didn't set that up for me, and she was like, "You want this whole thing? It's 30 something pages." And I was like, "Yeah." And then she said to me, "Why'd you read about money?" And I'm like, "Well, it's important. It matters, and it's as important as health. I think, in my opinion, it'll impact you whether you know it or not." So anyway, I got my paper printed. And here we are. Just an apology in advance. If you hear any scrolling and clicking from me, my mouse is downstairs, and I've only got these clunky laptop keys. So I might be referring to the paper as we go through. So if you hear any extra loud clicking noises, that's me. But Alex, before we start that, I'll just pass to you quickly for a return on heartbeats for this week.
Yeah, so I think I've mentioned before on the podcast, but we're quite friendly with our kind of elderly neighbours, and it was the my neighbour's she was 77 on Friday, so they came round, her and her husband, and I cooked a really nice meal for them, and yeah, they had a lovely time, nice and relaxed, few glasses of champagne, and yeah, just a really nice evening, nice meal, good company, and I had a really nice time. So yeah, big return on heartbeats.
Yeah, that's great for you too, and them as well.
Yeah.
What food did you make?
So I made a fancy prawn cocktail. Well, I'll send you a picture of it, but it was like made within a chef's ring, and it all looked really fancy. And then fillet steak and chips for main course, and then a like chocolate pudding for dessert. So
And you made all of it.
I didn't make dessert. I don't really do desserts, so that was bought. So
Okay,
yeah,
you're a savoury chef.
I am very much so.
But that's what a lovely thing to do. Like a three-course dinner for your neighbours who are one's turned 77. Do you know how old the husband is of the two?
82.
And what's 82 and 77 added together?
Oh, I don't know. 159.
That's quite a lot, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of years. That's a lot of wisdom, a lot of life that they've led as well.
Yes. So no, it's quite good to chat about things, and yeah, we get quite a lot of good advice and tips.
Oh, wow. Well, we
So
could maybe turn that into an episode one day. Life advice from your neighbours who are 159 years old combined.
yeah.
Yeah, hopefully neither of them are vampires, but it's just a really nice, wholesome thing to do, and I bet they really appreciate it as well.
They did, yeah. So no, they had a really nice time.
Oh, lovely. Oh, I like hearing about your neighbours as well. Okay, that's great. That's a much better return on heartbeats than I was going to say. So I'm really glad you pinched that one. That's great. Okay. In terms of Ben Felix's paper, Finding and Funding a Good Life, we've just jotted down some questions that we both found kind of pertinent out of it. Do you want to tackle them in a particular order, or do you just want to see how it goes?
I think let's just see how it goes. But I think that maybe like the paper itself is quite, it goes through what's the title of the paper is, what is it called? Finding and Funding a Good Life. And it goes through kind of the core areas of your life basically. So from owning houses to look to renting them to deciding what car to buy to whether you stick with a high paying job. A lot of it linked back and anchored to like the level of happiness that you get or what you think you might get versus what you actually do get. And it uses quite a lot of stats and facts within the paper just to give you a kind of an idea on that, and to support it, but also things such as like, are you spending enough time in nature? Or have you got good relationships with friends and family? Are you prioritizing time? Are you prioritizing money? What generally makes people happier? And so it's that kind of weaving in between kind of the happiness that you would experience in life and financial advice. So it's very, very rounded. And I think it's that thing of personal finances, say it's 20% maths and 80% personal, or 20% finance and 80% personal. And that really comes through in that. So, but yeah, I'm keen. I think we've got 5 questions on here that we want to tackle. There's plenty more in the document, but yeah, I'm keen to just, yeah, we can make a start.
I think the key point in it is, what is a good life, and what does
Yes.
it mean to you to live a good life? Because that to me, that if you asked me when I was 18, my answer at 37 is way totally different, and it does change over time. But yeah, we'll just go kind of in an order that I've typed them in, and they're not in the order of the paper. That would have probably been a good idea. But oh, thanks. My wife just bought me a cup of tea. That's very kind of you. That's a good return on heartbeats, I suppose, as well. So, Alex, first up, then, have you gone out of your way to save money recently? And recently, I would say, being, I don't know, the last 2, 3 months or so.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I'm fairly. I don't think I have, but I don't think it's because I think my life tends to be fairly cheap anyway. I mean, as cheap as I can make it, given where I live and where I work. And I've got a lot of kind of systems in place, both like kind of at home and financially to kind of um optimize my money. I think one thing, like for example, over the last few years, over the last few months, we've had Christmas. One of the things that we've done, me and my wife have agreed with our siblings, is not to buy presents for one another. So this has been going for a few years, but it's kind of we'll buy for the our nieces, but we won't buy for them because otherwise it just ends up being you're basically just trading 20 quid each on something. And it's not really, you tend not to get anything that you want, whereas actually you can buy something of value for the children. So that's kind of gone out of our way to save a bit of money. But I guess the money ultimately goes back to the kids. But we spend a lot less on the children than we did on the adults. But I say that's been in place for a bit. But that's the one thing that I guess would spring to my mind. Um, how about you?
Yeah, I think my answer to this, I read it as a part of a literal kind of thing, like have I physically gone out of my way to save any money? I actually do have an example. It's not going to set the world on fire. It's not going to get me to five and way, way, way more quickly. But this might be a bit weird talking about, but I have a semi-regular like back wax, not because it's absolutely monstrously level of hair. I just don't like the sensation of it on my clothes. So I normally go to a local place in Canterbury, and it's 25 quid per time, and it used to be 18 or so about 2 years ago, and it's slowly going up. So I found another place more recently, which is just a beauty therapist or whatever working out of her home studio, and we've agreed that it's going to be £10 as like an opening introductory thing. So I'm literally going out of my way there to save money because it's not on my normal route. It's like a 3-minute drive, but the other one I would have to drive, park, and walk to anyway. So that will literally save me £15 and hopefully isn't too painful.
Oh, well, that sounds like a good way of saving money.
Yeah, it's enough to make you want to do it, isn't it? If it was like a fiver, you'd be like, is it worth? But when it's like it's quite a lot of the kind of cost to go from 25 to 10, I would say that's a meaningful amount that requires some like a little bit of energy to kind of do. But I'll report back afterwards because it could be horrendous. Who knows? And I might end up going back to the other one.
That's it.
And it's not like I go every week either. I probably go every 3 months,
Okay.
4 months, something like that. So, I mean, it might make, I don't know, £45 difference per year, maybe 60, depending on how often I go. But, if someone just handed me 60 quid, that would be nice, right? You do something with it.
Exactly. Yeah. And you've still got the same service. Yeah, definitely.
Second one then for you, I think I know the answer to this if I was you, but would you work an extra 3 hours a day for additional money?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because I'm not sure. It would have to be, and this is a point which will probably come to later, but definitely values have changed. It'd have to be a really decent amount of extra money, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can be a bit more selective now over whether I do it or not. It would have to be something that I know I would definitely get some money for that time. And I think if you were to ask me 5 years ago, it would be yeah, definitely I'll do it no matter what. Whereas I think now I'm in that position, and I think definitely hitting that kind of coast fi number, there's less pressure to get it, and I much prefer my time now more than the money.
Mm.
So, and plus, like my work and my commute's quite intense at the minute, so adding an extra 3 hours would be horrendous, to be honest. I don't think I could do it. So that's for now would be a no, unless it is like I would need 2 more years and my house is paid off, that level of money. So I would probably say there's a big it depends, but on the face of it, no.
Yeah, lots of variables, I think. Like if someone's going to offer you 10 quid an hour, it's going to be an automatic no. If someone offers you £1,000 an hour, that's a
100%.
totally different story.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a totally different story. So, I mean, where I work at the minute within like the ADHD autism niche, I do have colleagues that work after hours. So they'll work like 5 till 8, sometimes 5 till 9, and they'll do either ADHD or autism assessments, and they'll earn somewhere between £200 and £300 per assessment, and it takes kind of 3 hours or so for the actual interview appointment plus report writing. So, and that just puts a figure on it. Like, is it worth doing for £100 an hour?
Yeah.
That I think that depends on where you're at in life. Like, if you're early in your financial career and that money would make a humongous difference to you, then you'd probably do it. If you're middle of the way through, or perhaps towards the end, that money has less of a value for you. I don't know. Would I do it for? I might do it once a month if I made £300 in my pocket afterwards.
Yeah.
But I would have to have a goal of what that money was for. I wouldn't want to just frivolously spend it on like back waxing or something.
Yeah, that's it. I agree. I think if there's a definite goal of something, and for me, what would be important is there's definitely the outcome is tied to that. Like, as in an extra 3 hours a day, if that's
Yeah,
going to be now forever, because that's me, that's finishing at like 10 p.m. for me normally. So that's like, yeah, unless there's serious level of banker bonus coming my way, I would be less than inclined to do it.
yeah,
But yeah, I think very circumstantial. But it's good that you've got that option if you
yeah,
needed to
absolutely.
actually to do those extra. If you wanted to do it for yeah a couple of a few days a month even, that's a nice amount of extra money.
Yeah, and you can agree stuff like that. I mean, I've got a friend and colleague of mine who works at the same place. She does some extra. I think she does 2 or 3 a month or something, and then she takes the time off in like toil time. Like gets extra days off with her family over summer, and she'll just kind of like consolidate all of that extra hours. She might do, I don't know, 30 hours or so over a couple of months, and then take like 3, 4, 5 days off extra over summer. So it depends. It doesn't have to just be money. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, could you do it for that time back in a
Yes.
different time? It's interesting, but very much depends on where you're at in your journey. If the 3 hours extra money would, like, if you're crying out for overtime and there isn't any, totally different story than if actually it wouldn't make a material difference. Like, does it move the needle? Yes or no?
I think good things are if you've got a lot of high interest debt and you've got that lever to pull, then that's actually a really good
Mm.
thing because you're gonna, yeah, yeah. So I think there's a huge, certainly for now, for me, it depends. Um,
It
it would
depends on the
depend,
amount, right?
yeah, and it would be a big amount.
Yeah, if you had to put a figure on it, what would
So
the minimum be for you to seriously consider it? Per,
yeah, like 100, £150 an hour, something like that.
yeah,
£200 an hour, that kind of level.
yeah. So minimum £100 an hour, I think, is a reasonable thing, and we're obviously very privileged to be able to think in that way.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it would have to be punchy, I think. Like for me now, if you'd
yeah,
asked me 10 years ago, I'd be like, I'll do it for 10 or whatever. But now it's
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
a
eight
different
eight
story.
pounds an hour to stay for an extra. Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
working for me. But
no.
yeah, it would be that kind of. I would say that kind of ballpark number for now.
Yeah. Okay. And interestingly, this merges into the next question. Like, in terms of values and preferences, have they changed over the last decade? And do you expect them to change in the next decade? So, thinking about your values, preferences now compared with yourself 10 years ago, and do you expect them to change in 10 when you were 10 years older, when both of us are 47? Like, that's really hard for me to imagine me at 47. Almost can't picture it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I think this one is definitely they've changed, and I think when I say I've always been ambitious, but I think I've always had almost would definitely find myself prioritizing career over anything else earlier on. Whereas I think now I much prefer time, being more relaxed. I prefer my freedom and independence. So those are the big values for me, which I've learned much more so than nice things. And I prefer experience. So I've definitely shifted. Whereas I guess when I first started, I was building up my career in the early stages. I was very much, yeah, I'd have like the best suits that I could get and the best shoes and the best watches and then that, and I would very much be a looking at the out from the outside that I was very successful. That was important for me, whereas that's definitely not the case now. And I'm much more like for me, it's being able to take time and have freedom and independence. Those are my values, and I'm working very hard to do what I can to get to the point at that to that point. So they've definitely changed, and I can feel that. I think there's a bit of reconciliation that you got to do with your former self as well, in a weird way.
Mm.
Kind of because you have,
Like, you made those decisions to wear the certain things, wear the shoes, wear the watch, look a certain way. That might have been the right choice for you at the time, or you felt like it was the right choice. But it's interesting how, as you grow and you kind of progress in your career, and you have made those kind of inroads into your career and the success of that, do you need to look a certain in terms of, like, the way I would kind of do my job? It doesn't necessarily matter what I look like. I have to look semi kind of professional, I suppose, but the outcome will be the same whether I'm dressed in like dressing gown or a formal suit.
mm,
But it's
yes,
perception, isn't it? How confident you feel in the other person.
that's it.
Um,
And it's yeah. So I think that's definitely part of it. And I'm definitely not scruffy. But yeah, it's kind of like
no, no.
it's but it's a thing of you wanted something so bad for so long, and then it's like kind of when you get to that point, you kind of realize it's not. Oh, it's not as good as I thought it was going to be, or actually, yeah, this isn't for me.
Mm,
And I say that with going into London most days, and it's a train, and like London used to be fascinating. I used to love it, but it's really lost its sheen, and that's kind of a shame because that's all I wanted to do when I finished university. So you're kind of like reconciling with the old version of you, um, or I say I am at the minute, or maybe I'm just going through a big midlife crisis, and I'll be buying a motorbike and a Porsche soon or something. Um,
Maybe. I mean, if you do, let me know. Let me borrow.
Yeah,
But I mean, when you think about going to uni, there's all this potential and there's aspiration, and there's you look up to people and you're like, "Oh, if I have this or I have
yeah,
that, then I'll have made it in life." And when you actually get to that point where you can wear a suit with a label on it that you like, or you can wear this fancy watch, and you do have that particular pair of shoes, it doesn't do. I don't necessarily think it does anything for you as a person. It might inspire some confidence in you from other people, but fundamentally, you're the same.
yeah,
You're just dressed in a certain way. So I think you hit an important point when you said actually when you get to these metrics and you meet these milestones, like what's next? Our brains are very good at like getting you from A to B, but then if you don't think beyond, I want to wear this shoes and a suit from this maker and a watch from this manufacturer, what comes after that? Well, we're very driven on getting from A to B, but then what happens to the rest of it? I mean, you can extrapolate that into the financial independence journey. We think we have an idea of what we'll do when we get there, but the reality might be very different.
yeah. I agree completely, and I think to the point of this kind of second part of the question around, do you expect the values and preferences to change? Like probably, because they have. It has done over the last 10 years. I
It's
think.
likely, isn't
I think
it?
for me, I know from experience that things and time and experiences make me happier than material items. And I think for a while I definitely chased material items, um, certainly to a point. And so maybe that will change in the future. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I think that having time freedom, I don't think will ever stop being one of my is independence and freedom for me are the values. And then maybe some preferences change. And actually, it might be yeah, when I'm 47, it's like, oh, I just would love another corporate career and I would love to be on the rat race again. And maybe that'll be the case, or maybe not. But yeah, it's an interesting one as you kind of go through the journey. Because as you said, we're very goal driven. It's like, oh, I got there now. And it's a bit like the dog that catches the cat. You don't actually know what to do with it once you've got it. But yeah, that's a bit of a long answer, but it's an interesting question that. And I think certainly when you're looking at purchasing big things or making big life decisions, recognizing that, and certainly things that you're going to be, but if you buy a house, you've got a good 10-year investment before you're probably like making your money back on it. Or 5 years, I think, is the recommendation. So that you're probably going to be a different person in 5, 10 years versus what you are now. Are you buying the house that's right now, or are you recognizing that you might change in the future? I always think it's quite nice that all the old people go and live by the sea and walk on the beach every day. So I speak of going to Bournemouth, and so maybe that's like the ultimate end goal is like you've got all this life experience and you end up in a seaside resort on a promenade next to the beach.
I think when I think about me now, I don't think I could have pictured myself even at 37, or can I picture
Yeah.
myself at 47? There'll be some things definitely that will change in life, 100%. And there'll be some core things that I think will remain the same. And I think you put it very well when you're like, actually, what am I most likely? Am I going to want to go back into the corporate rat race, or are you going to like enjoy the freedom and the choice that you have? And I think of those two, you're much more likely to enjoy the freedom than wanting actually to go. You
Yes.
might want to go back into the corporate rat race. I'm. I don't think I'll probably ever hear you say that sentence at all. But I think it's not figuring out exactly where you want to go, but it's what you feel is most likely, what gives you the most, and it's the probability of getting there. Like if you don't do these, like if you haven't done any of the smart things you've been doing with money for the last 15 years or so, you don't have the other option. You just have the corporate thing. You don't have the choice.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
And for me, I'd rather have the option and the choice. I've never felt so free, certainly in the last 5 years, than knowing actually if you have a job you don't like or something in life isn't working particularly for you, you have some a power and ability to do something about that. Like you don't have to stay if it sucks.
Yes.
Um,
I think that for me as well is like the biggest almost tangible feeling that I've got from kind of pursuing this path is knowing that worst case, I can last for years, if not indefinite, like without needing like the same level of job. And I think it's I look around at friends and colleagues, and it's like it's very easy to see who's gone into a bit of a into the trap and just keep spending more and more. And it feels good at the time, but it's the thing. Like for me, it's like palpable how good it feels when I know you got the power to walk away, and that's the only yeah. It's a nice feeling to know you've got this huge cushion underneath you.
Yeah, it's calming, I think, for your soul. It's like it's your parasympathetic nervous system is at work there. So I can't remember the episode number, but you talked about other people around you being made redundant left, right, and centre, and you could feel the tension kind of in the air. And when I've been into hospital wards on jobs that I didn't particularly enjoy or something changed, I would have a considerable amount of anxiety to the point where my hands would tremble and I'd have to put them in my pockets because I'd have to go in and like lead the team and make decisions. And if I look like a nervous wreck, nothing's going to go well. But having that almost parachute, that escape rope out of something like that, I've never felt relief like it when I actually realised. And someone asked me one day, that, "Are you going to stay?" And I was like, "Actually, I don't have to, do I? Or actually, I'm safe from being made redundant." And at that point, for you, being made redundant might have been helpful. It could have been
Mm,
a parachute into something else that you'd like to do and an extra payment.
yes,
So it's turning the unknown on its head and using it to your advantage, isn't it? Rather
that's
than
it. Yeah.
kind of waiting to be made redundant, or it puts you more in control, I think. Yeah, yeah. I certainly don't regret the financial decisions I've made running up to now. Yeah. Okay, next question, number 4. Would your life change and how if you earned an extra £1,000 a month? I'm going to assume that means £1,000 extra in your pocket, because if you just add it to your taxable income, you're not going to get that much of it. Like 1,000 will very easily become 600 or less.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, so I've been at the fortunate position where that's happened a few times for me. Um, and it's honestly my life's I was pretty good from essentially when I first qualified as an accountant, you get a bit of a pay bump. And then since then I at that point I kind of solidified my like what my lifestyle is. And
Mm-hmm.
everything over and above that, like any pay rise I've been given, my life itself hasn't changed fundamentally, apart from I've just saved that extra income generally. Um, and so I think even if I got an extra £1,000 a month now, it would still be, I wouldn't say my life would change in terms of I would still shop at the same place, I would still live in the same house, I'd still probably drive the same car, I wear the same clothes. The only thing that would happen would be my investment portfolio would increase or the mortgage would get paid off faster. So it's almost wouldn't, I don't think would have an effect, like a material day-to-day effect.
Yeah, like it wouldn't be noticeable to someone else looking at you, like a colleague of yours or a neighbour. They wouldn't be like,
It's
"Oh,
exactly,
Alex must have got a pay
yeah,
rise because he's bought this
it would be
or
very much
that."
a kind of hidden thing. Um, and so that would be, yeah, that's probably,
Yeah, I think I'd be the same.
yeah, I think that I'm comfortable with the life I have.
I don't see like I'm quite happy. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the life I have at the minute. I mean, I don't think I wouldn't move house. I wouldn't buy another car. I like my old Volvo estate. I mean, it's covered in scratches and it's got a little bit dented and stuff, but it does what I need it to do. And I think there's something here about being content. I don't think anyone who I didn't explicitly tell would be able to tell a difference. So, since I qualified in nursing in 2019, I don't live any differently than when I was on like entry level wages to now that I'm not on entry level wages. You can't. I don't think you'd be able to tell from the outside. I mean, we have slightly nicer furniture, I guess, and we've done some gardening, like landscaping and stuff, to make our garden more productive, grow carrots and like got a lemon tree and stuff. But you wouldn't walk in and be like, oh my God, you've definitely had a pay rise because look at this.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the same. Like, there's been some bits which, yeah, we've increased with our lifestyle, but it tends to have been the same, and like the same for my wife as well. She's had pay rises and stuff, but because we've been together for quite a long time, from the point where we were both kind of newly graduated almost from in our professional careers, we've kind of come up with a lifestyle that we like, and yeah, there's the occasional like we can treat ourselves without ever needing to worry. But the day to day doesn't, yeah, it doesn't really, hasn't really changed for quite a long time, to be honest. So just an extra amount.
Your fundamentals
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
the same.
And it's like we've got the system set up, and it's just putting more money into that system basically is the only thing that would do,
Yeah.
which I'm quite happy with.
I,
And I'd find it quite, you could add a zero to that one and it'd be an extra 10,000 a month. I would be doing the same stuff. I would definitely have the house paid off a lot faster. But
yeah, and your time to retirement would go down pretty dramatically, earning that much.
I think for the day-to-day lifestyle wouldn't change, no.
Yeah, your fundamentals would stay the same, similar to me. I think, for example, as a thought experiment, if someone gave me an extra 10 grand a month, I would do a lot more philanthropic things. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes I go to the supermarket and I buy like some, the gift cards that you can, I don't know what's the word for it. You slide them at the till.
yeah.
Whatever you like.
Swipe.
Yeah, you swipe them, right? That's it, at the till. Sometimes I'll buy a couple of those and I'll just give them out to people in the store. Um,
Oh, that's nice.
and yeah, and to be honest, mostly it's around Christmas time, and I'll give them to like a family that's got loads of kids or whatever, without any actual thought or anything goes into it. And we're not talking hundreds of pounds. It's like 30 quid here and there. Um, but I think if I was given an extra 10 grand a month, I would do a lot more of that. I would do a lot more of funding things for the local community around me. So perhaps I can see like the change in something. Um, I mean, stuff like covering up graffiti, like uh, having a community skip that
Yeah, that's a good idea.
people close to like live around you can chuck all their waste in they don't want. Just stuff that makes your environment nicer, like a nicer place to live in.
Yeah,
Yeah, just something like that, or just
that's a nice, yeah,
fund like some activities for kids or sports things, or just make it. I don't know, just try and make your community a nicer place. I think a bit selfishly because I live there too, right? It would make it a nicer place to live. But yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, last question out of Ben Felix's paper. Firstly, it talks about hobbies, and then it says how much money would you have to be given to give up your favorite hobby? Firstly, I don't think I could tell you my absolute top tier favorite hobby off the top of my head. I think I would have to think about that.
that's a tricky one because I really like to read, like watching the sport. I enjoy cooking, and I enjoy like going out running, going to the kind of got like a nice gym and spa that we go to. So I don't really, I'm similar. I don't have like a single hobby, I would say, but honestly, I don't think I would accept any money to give it up because that's the things I really like doing.
Yeah, there's a thing, you could kind of lose your purpose, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't think there'd be, yeah, I don't think I wouldn't because that's the thing I like doing. So I wouldn't,
Mm.
I mean, I know it's obviously a very hypothetical thing, but yeah, for me, I wouldn't accept any money to give them up. I enjoy doing them, and those are the things I want to do more of. So
Yeah, that's why you're on the path, right? So you can go to the
absolutely,
gym whenever time you want. You
yeah,
can go running places. You could run all over the world. You could run the Camino Trail in Spain or whatever. And I think I'm the same as you. If I think about my actual favorite hobbies, it would be like making espresso from different beans all over the world. I would obviously exercise, going to the gym, etc. But I would grow a lot of vegetables in our garden. And if someone was like, actually, we gave you this money when you were 37 in February, now you can't grow any carrots, stop that. I'd be like, yeah, it's not worth it, actually. um, and I think there's something there about trade offs in terms of trading your happiness for money.
yes,
And for me, at my current stage and where I'm in life, I don't think that's something I would be willing to do. I'd be interested in anyone listening if you'd think actually I would give this up for financial security if you're not quite there yet, or you don't believe you could perhaps achieve it. So I think the answer would be different perhaps in the West than maybe someone living in, I don't know, a country that's war torn or something. That would be a totally different answer and a totally different conversation. But yeah, for me, I think the joy of having the extra money or the benefits of it would far outweigh like if I did that and I took, I don't know, however many millions of pounds and then I was to make an espresso and then you appear out of nowhere and just like bat it onto the floor,
Yeah.
that would make me sad every time. And I don't think it's worth it.
No, I think that's right. But I think we could maybe cover the whole happiness and money on next week's episode or the next episode because that's also um in the paper as well, is around kind of at what points does happiness drop off with money, and there's like buying vacation homes and buying luxury cars and things. So I think it's a good segue into the next episode to go through that in a bit more detail and to go through some of the questions there. But yeah, I think in terms of that, giving up my favorite hobbies, there is not $1 I would accept for doing that. So
No, I think it's never enough, is it? I don't think it's enjoyment in life. That's fundamentally what we're here for, is to enjoy the life
yeah,
that we live. Um, yeah, yeah. Okay. I think, firstly, Ben, if you ever listen to this, thanks a lot for writing the paper. It's really good.
yeah,
I've spent quite a lot of time kind of dipping in and out of it over the week, and it's really made me think about life and the fundamentals of it and where I am to where I used to be to where I want to be. So if you haven't read it, I'll ask Caspian, our editing chap, just drop a link to it below. And actually, Ben has a YouTube channel. It's just called Ben Felix, I think. You can just Google it and it'll come up. He puts out a really good amount of content over the last number of years or so. Alex, the last kind of thing we do is we'll do a reasonable or ridiculous and then a short summary, I suppose. But my
reasonable or ridiculous?
This for you this week is around haircuts. So my mother-in-law is a hairdresser, so she normally cuts my hair, and I haven't seen her for ages, and my hair is getting super like where I've got curly hair. It's like it's short, 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 and then boom, it just kind of explodes, and it's really difficult to tame. So I paid for a haircut the other day, and it was £28, and it's just what they call a dry haircut. So they don't wash it, shampoo, conditioner, nothing like that. They just cut it into the shape that you suggest. And my wife sent them a photo and said, "Please make him look like this person." It's a YouTuber called Brandon Balfour, and I got a similar face shape to him and similar hair. So he was like, "Yeah, I can do this. This is fine." But from your kind of viewpoint, is £28 for a dry haircut? Is that reasonable or not?
Well, I get my hair cut at the hairdresser down the road, and I book my slot like through an app. It's really neat. I get my hair is wet when they cut it, and he does a really good style, and that's £18, and that's recently gone up. So I think for a dry haircut, £28 is quite expensive.
Mm. The next option up that includes wash, condition, dry, and he also lists moisturize as well. I don't know what that looks like. It's £38,
Wow, okay.
which I thought was too much. If it was 32 or 33 and it was a fiver extra, I probably would have done it. But to drop nearly 40 quid on a haircut, I feel like 30 is expensive for a haircut, but nearly 40 is yeah, I think too punchy for me.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. Yeah. I would say that's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean the haircut's good. I like it, and I would do it if I'm not going every single time. If I could do like 4 haircuts for my mother-in-law and then one paid one, then that would be reasonable. But if
Yeah,
you're going every other month or every month or something, um,
yeah. Because I have to I go about every 5 or 6 weeks because my hair grows. It's like a bush. My hair,
yeah.
it grows really fast, so I need it. So I'm actually going on Friday, funnily enough.
Oh, okay.
Um, but yeah, it's Yeah, I find that quite expensive.
Yeah, for a man, like for a
But
gent's haircut,
yes,
I think it's punchy. Yeah,
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 women's hair is a different ball game altogether.
yeah. I'm actually quite thankful for my mother-in-law saving me an absolute fortune, and my wife
Mm,
getting her haircut and dyed professionally. It would be many monies.
it
Um,
would.
yeah, that's not done in the kitchen, right? Okay, so next week I'm going to be in Spain. I'm going to be in Seville for a couple of days. As I talked about last week, it's you can get there for the same amount of distance it would take me to get to northern Wales. So I'm going to be in Spain for 4 days. So we'll have to postpone for a week if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. And what a good reason to enjoy,
Yeah,
yeah, enjoy Spain.
I'm going to take Ben's paper and I'm going to read it on the plane as well. Make some notes.
Oh, good idea. Yeah, really good idea.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks a lot, my friend. I'll see you in 2 weeks then for episode 88 when we do part two, possibly a third part of Finding and Funding a Good Life by Ben Felix.
Yes. Thanks very much. Thanks, everybody.
None of what we discuss on the show is to be considered financial or health advice, and we recommend you always do your own research or consult an independent financial advisor or a doctor when making your financial or health decisions.